What's going on, guys? I'm bringing you 9 facts about Napoleon Bonaparte. Fact number 1: he was born in Italy, on an island called Corsica, which was owned by the Italians, and they sold it to France, which made him technically a citizen of France because he lived on that island. In fact, he actually spoke Italian until he was 7 years old, with his real last name being Buonaparte, but changed it to Bonaparte after he basically realized that it sounded too Italian. Number 2, the Napoleonic Code. Now, the Napoleonic Code was a bunch of civil codes that was one of the most foundational documents for the Western Hemisphere. Basically, I mean, it's the root of almost all countries' legal systems. Obviously, it's been built upon over the years, but it was one of the first documents or doctrines, I suppose, that allowed things such as freedom of religion and equality before the law. So a peasant would be charged with the same amount of punishment as someone who's higher class. And freedom of religion for 1804 is pretty good. Number 3, he went from king to emperor, and he's the first and only person to ever crown himself emperor, because typically the Pope would crown a leader as emperor, but Napoleon had let's just say, a rough past with the popes, so he crowned himself emperor, which is the first and only person to ever do that. Number 4, the Louisiana Purchase. He sold the Louisiana territory to the U.S. Basically, after losing Quebec, so after losing his foothold in Canada, he said, basically, screw it. You guys are on your own. I don't want anything to do with North America. So he sold the Louisiana territory to the United States. Um, basically, he sold it to Thomas Jefferson for $15 million, which it's actually crazy. And if you notice it too, it's also why Louisiana speaks a lot of French and has a lot of French-sounding names, such as New Orleans, and celebrates things such as Mardi Gras. It's very French-based. They have the Baton Rouge. I mean, it's French. It's very, very French, and they have a lot of French influence still in Louisiana. Um, Number 5, he kidnapped the Pope during his battle against Italy. So Pope Pius the Sixth, or is that the seventh? Yeah, that's the seventh. Pope Pius the Seventh, right, was in Rome, and when Napoleon basically sieged Rome and took it over, he kidnapped the Pope and had him sent outside of Rome, uh, because he's Napoleon. Number 6, he commissioned the Arc de Triomphe. The Arc de Triomphe is a statue, basically, or I guess, an arc, right? And basically, what it is it commemorates all of his victories or his triumphs, right? Built in 1806, and it remains one of France's greatest attractions. I mean, this and the Eiffel Tower are two notorious things in France. And yeah, so he built this little building right here to commemorate all of his actions, and here he is on the side with some naked girl. I skipped number 7 because I miswrote this, so my bad. Number 8, he was welcomed back to France after illegally returning. So after his first exile, which I believe was to Elba, I believe the first time, Napoleon slipped onto the Inconstant, which was a French ship returning to France from that island of Elba, right? And he basically set foot on France, rallied a bunch of military troops, and took over France without ever firing a single shot. So just think, you're the new leader. Napoleon's gone. You think he's far away on some island. Nope. He returns, marches into the center of Paris with a whole army, and basically uh, coup de grace his own government, essentially. And everyone loved it too. Everyone loved it. No one was against him, except for obviously the leaders who replaced Napoleon. Uh, and a lot of his captains. Okay, so when he was exiled for the second time, the one he didn't return from, a lot of the captains that rallied behind him for his first return were beheaded. So as treasons, basically, or as treasoners, I guess. What is that word? Yeah, they were executed for treason, essentially. Number 9, his second exile. Uh, it's a shame, but he was exiled to St. Helena, right? Basically, after his defeat at Waterloo, everyone kind of understood that his Napoleon's time was up. You know, even though he had been on a super hot streak after his first return, and the coalition of European nations decided to move him to St. Helena, where he eventually died. It's off the coast of Africa here. I mean, here's France, right? And here is St. Helena. So that was his ending. And then number 10, because, you know, I'm kind of stupid and forgot number 7, his legacy kind of continues. I mean, his great 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 nephew married the great granddaughter of Karl I of the Austrian Habsburgs family, which was Napoleon's arch enemy. Uh, Karl I of Austria was one of his biggest rivals, and it's funny that his bloodline has married his enemies, basically his daughter. And so yeah, this guy's name is something 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 Napoleon, whatever, right? Like he kind of looks like him too, but it's crazy to think about it. Thank you for watching.